Okay, welcome to another Accession ESM podcast session, and really great to have back with us Anca and Stuart from Transputec. Now, for those of you who follow the channel, you'll know that about 6 months or so ago, we spoke with Anca and Stuart because they decided that they wanted to elevate their service management capability and were evaluating the market. So we wanted to touch base with these guys, see how things have gone. Stuart, if you want to give us just a quick reintroduction to Transputec for our listeners, that'd be great.
Well, thank you for inviting us back again. So Transputec, we are an award-winning managed service provider. We've been going for about 30 years, and our focus in terms of the market is managed services, professional services, software development, and cybersecurity. And as an MSP, a core part of operation, our customers' touches is through our service desk and our platform. So hence we've got a lot of experience in this area.
Very good.
Thank you
so
very
Stuart, let's kick off with perhaps a bit of a recap on then some of the sort of reasons you wanted to migrate from your old now service management platform to your new one. Or maybe actually, sorry, Anca, I think I'm pointing that question to you, aren't I?
Hi. Welcome, everybody. As we have discussed in our previous encounter, the decision was not made lightly, and it took a while for us to come up with the finalists. And we went through a lot of all sorts of shows and trying to pick which tool will be the most useful for us. But last year we made a decision, and we moved to a new tool. Now we went live a month and a few days. So it's it has been a really big project to manage and to launch, especially that we went with a big bang. But it was something that it was needed, and after only a month, we can prove that it's really worth it.
So what were the key reasons behind kind of deciding you wanted to move? You know, can you walk us through a little bit of the mindset approach there, Anca?
So the previous tool didn't have all the facilities and functions and features that we needed as an MSP. Basically, it did the ticketing management and sending messages, but the rest of, I will use processes as my boss tells me not to use that word too much, but all the ITIL processes and everything that you'd want to have in there for a smooth operation, also to have standards in place. You need to have different ways of doing, for example, change management. You cannot do it like a incident management. It's a bit different. You have a different dashboard, you have a different layout of how it looks like. Previous tool was not able to offer us that. So hence we made the decision to move also the automation, AI, user experience, all the things that now they're becoming mandatory, especially with the AI. So the platform that we chose, it has at the base, the core of the platform is AI based. So we moved to something that is futuristic and also something that it can be used for several years from now on, looking at the trends on the market.
Is there anything you'd like to add to that, Stuart, from a sort of tool capability perspective?
Well, I think just going back on what Anca referred to earlier, if we look at why we decided to move just quickly, I think there's sort of 3 layers to any relationship, and we value this with our customers, so we reflect this in our supplier relationships. One is the technical sort of platform, how that works, how that operates. One, which is really important for me, is the relationship. And one is the process of how we engage and things like that. And I think that started not to work for us. We developed as an organization, it wasn't working, so we felt we had to move. And whilst it was a technical platform move, it was a lot to do with the relationships and seeking better relationships. In terms of the features and capabilities, I think Anca's spot on in terms of what we're looking for. We wanted it to be built natively with AI at its core, not just a bolt-on. I think, as we discussed on the previous podcast, we wanted that to be central, front and center of everything that it was built, the processes, the experience that the customers will get, the UI. Everything has to be first and foremost customer focused, and that's what we wanted out of this new platform. So our mindsets and anything we did was that.
Stuart, can I ask, because I seem to recall from the previous podcast that you, Transputec yourselves, had some experience and expertise in terms of developing AI-based solutions. I think you talked about that. So did your knowledge and expertise in this space help in terms of the evaluation of what AI capabilities the service management tool set brought with it?
I think it certainly allowed us to evaluate vendors and suppliers where it was an afterthought and it wasn't central to the platform, and where at first glance it could appear as though it was had AI at its core, but really when you look at it, it was the same old. It was just a platform that had just been had in a bolt-on. And to use, a wolf in sheep's clothing, So we were able to bring our expertise or experience there to bear by trying to assess what and cut through the marketing veneer, because ultimately this is going to be our core organizational platform for engagement with customers, and we had to get this decision right. Because we'd been with the previous supplier and platform for almost 7 years. And so we wanted a platform that would develop and evolve over that 7 years and not stay the same as soon as the contract was signed 7 years later, which potentially our previous vendor had.
So there's a couple of things there, isn't there? You've got that future vision. You need to have something that's going to keep pace with trends and needs and requirements going forwards. But the other thing I just want to touch on, I think it's quite interesting, is that you mentioned about the relationship with the supplier. And that kind of loops back into this whole, one of the things we try to talk about a lot is customer experience, where you're the customer. And if you're not getting that great experience from your supplier, and, feel free to go into as little or as many details as to why that experience wasn't so positive for you. But that's a really key thing, isn't it? To have that good experience with your suppliers, because that's exactly what you're looking to deliver to your customers, right?
Absolutely. And I think you've got to act with suppliers, how you behave with customers. We try to be the same, because if you act differently, it will come across to your customers. And I think we try to be fair. We try to work through issues with our suppliers. We try to be equitable, and we try to develop together. And I think, we talk a lot with customer experience, or certainly I do, is around a marriage. You're going to have good times and bad times, and actually you learn more about each other during the bad times. And I think really strong relationships are formed out of the back of learning from bad experiences rather than positive, because often you don't learn from the positive experience as much. So that's one.
Hopefully not too many bad times.
Absolutely.
In your marriage, I mean, Stuart, yes. And obviously your relationship with your ITSM vendor. But
we did say we wouldn't ask questions about that.
That's right. Yeah, sorry, apologies to Mrs. Salt. So can I ask, Anca? I remember when we did the previous podcast, you had compiled what I think sounded like a all-encompassing spreadsheet to help you do what sounded at the time like a very broad market evaluation. I think you spent many months, didn't you, looking at different vendors. So tell us then who you chose.
So the winner is Servicely. They are new on the market. They, I would say that they are, they moved from a startup, but they are the type of tool and the type of people that are working there, the ones that we needed and wanted. Aside from what the tool is offering, and that's something that can be seen on their website, and you can see the features that they have. On top of that, it was the relationship. We had a really good engagement from the beginning, even before signing a contract or before agreeing on anything. They agreed to give us demos, to show us, to have use cases, and to try to mimic how a day into our analysts' work will look like within the platform. So they were very flexible. And we had a very good engagement from the get-go with their extensive team, not just the account manager and the salespeople that will tell you what you want to hear. Most of the times we'll try to sell you things and say, yep, everything is the way that you want to. But from their development team, their product development, and also the team that helped onboard the tool for us. And on top of that, now after we went live, because you have the hypercare the first month, all good, they keep you and then maybe they forget about you. No, they are still engaging with us on almost daily basis, trying to understand what is the user experience, what is our analyst experience from all levels, trying to see, okay, how they can help us. Are there any issues? Is there anything that they can help us with during this process? So I can say that I think we made the right choice.
And I think if I just add, I think it's a mindset thing. I think the mindset of Servicely AI resonated with me and the organization, that we were both quite fast-paced, entrepreneurial, customer-focused organizations, and that was exhibited in the people that we dealt with. And I think when you deal with people who have a similar philosophy, then you can have a more beneficial relationship. And I think that mindset for me, when I met the teams, was really important, to feel confident and comfortable we are working in the same direction.
So it sounds like they're kind of with you on the journey. They've not just handed you the keys and said, good luck, but they're getting really involved, because that's going to be a mutually beneficial thing for them, right? As well as for you, because you're getting the assistance you need if you need it and when you need it, and they're also getting greater insight into actually how is the solution being used, on the workforce floor, so to speak. That's really good. Good to hear. Good to hear.
Yes, so, and they are open to all our proposals. Everything that we are coming up with, ideas on how we could improve the aspect or anything related to the product in terms of, because it's a back-end code that needs to be changed. It's not just something that you need to add in there as a simple menu. They are very open to those discussions and making sure that it's put on the pipeline. And so their product development team is there with us. It's not just somebody that is somewhere in the back end and we submit some requests and then maybe somebody will look at them and we will have a 2-year resolution time as we had in the past, unfortunately. So we have experienced that one where we've been told it's not going to happen for the next year. So
I'm going to
again, that sort of talks to that great relationship. There's a real relationship theme coming out here. Stuart's mentioned marriages. Anca, you've just mentioned proposals. It's all sounding really good.
Can I just just a quick side note, because for people who listening may not have heard of Servicely or may not be very familiar with Servicely, I think they are Australian originated service management vendor. They have quite a footprint, I think, in the southern hemisphere, but are starting to become increasingly prevalent in the European markets. And I think because of English speaking, obviously the UK is a target place for them. But I think just the point around engagement you've been talking about, Anca, the point around sort of mindset, and also being able to really harness AI at its core is all part of that. You know, they're not startup, but as a new entrepreneurial, as you said, Stuart, business, right? That they are able to take their starting point is, you know, using very contemporary technologies, and their customer journey really needs the input of organizations such as yourselves, right, to be able to really hit what the market expectation is and facilitate their future growth. So in terms of that, it sounds like a very good partnership, something that you'll
absolutely
from them.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, they've looked at the market, what's good, what's bad, and made sure they focus on the customer experience. And you mentioned partnership. That's what we truly believe with all our suppliers. We want, and customers, we want that partnership.
Yeah. Apologies, Dan, I jumped in there.
No, that's absolutely fine. Another great relationship word there, engagement. So, you know, this could be the we could change tack on the podcast at any given moment. So, thinking about kind of you've gone live a month or so ago. What can you share about kind of how the transition went from old to new? You know, requirements, definitions, any challenges that you were faced along that journey? Did the project run to the schedule you had set? You know, can you just sort of share a little bit of insights around those kind of things on that transition point?
And what
Stuart,
others,
either.
Yeah, and what others could learn from, I guess, as well. Yeah.
I will start, and then Stuart can jump in with his hat. We were. I will start with the. We had the engagement. We started the engagement in August last year when we signed the contract. Then in September we started the actual projects around onboarding the new tool, offboarding of the old tools, multiple tools, because we had all the other tools that we were supposed to use because of the previous incumbent that we didn't have all the features that we needed. So we started to draft how we want this to work and how it would work for our clients and for us, trying to figure out if we can go in phases. Initially, we arranged for different, have 2 phases. Then moving forward, we identified that it was much better with a big bang. But obviously, with a big bang, you have more risks associated with that. And also, we kind of we had very endearing dates to go live, to put it in some words. And we have identified along the way some issues, not issues necessarily, more time to do some tasks. So we were not able to go with the first date that we chose. So we had to go with the second one. And that's why, hence, the go live was on the 1st of February, 2025. All the requirements and everything that we planned for, everything worked. We were able to do everything. But yes, we underestimated some of the tasks and the timelines that we would need at certain points. We were very enthusiastic, to say the least, about the tool, about trying to use it as soon as possible. But there were lots of moving pieces with lots of clients, lots of processes to add, and at the same time also all our teams that were getting used to with the new tool. The good thing is that we had access to the tool very early on. So after we have been able to set it up, majority of our team members were able to connect and see the tool, get used to the menus, and trying to understand the tool. We still did had some little resistance to change from some resolvers, not from the clients as as far as I know, until now, all the clients were very happy with the tool, very receptive, and this was one of the things that they expected for, and they wanted to have for a long time from our side. So when we communicated with them and showed the new tool and did the training, everybody was very enthusiastic. I'm not saying that there were we have not had little bugs here and there. Yes, there were. As in any project, you'll have those. But with the help of Servicely, we were able to overcome all of them, and we had, at least from my perspective, a very smooth launch with Servicely.
Very good. Stuart, what would you add to that, Stuart, if anything?
I think firstly, Anca and team worked incredibly hard to deliver a successful outcome, both for Transputec and our customers. We knew how important this was going to be for us, and we've got, I think Anca referred to or implied about all the integrations and the moving parts we have with other platforms, products and processes and customers. So it's quite a significant ecosystem which we've got to replace. And I think it went really well. I think Anca's playing on the timelines. I think I would recommend maybe the relevant junction at this sort of project, you have a rest period so people can just stop focusing on this, have a bit of a breather, go back to their BAU and just come back refreshed. Otherwise we get very blinkered vision. So I think that's something I would certainly recommend. And so have realistic timescales as well. I think given that we are an MSP, so it'll be different for organizations that are an in-house delivery engine, where it's an in-house team. But for us, with our customers, we just have to make sure that our customers work at the same pace as ourselves. Sometimes you forget, numerous customers, everybody works slightly different ways, slightly different pace. So the communication, expectation, managing change has to be slightly tweaked for different customers and different organizations. So I think just bear that in mind. If you're an MSP, and even if for an internal department where you've got multiple stakeholders. So I think my litmus test was the team happy? And generally they were very happy. And was the customer happy? And often in a supply side relationships, you only hear about the bad news. So I'll get the calls from a customer saying, oh, this is not working, or escalations. You know what? That didn't happen. Didn't have those phone calls. I'd go out to meet my clients at the regular cadence and they go, oh yeah, we did that Servicely project. It's really great. We're looking to expand and integrate other business units in our organization, like HR, facilities. We're going to bring them all on board. We're going to use this as our core sort of system now. And I think that for me says it all. That we got it generally right. And I think that's generally our customers are seeing the benefits and will see the benefits going forwards of more automation, more efficiencies, more business process that we can automate and orchestrate in there. So I think that was my plea aspect. And I know that I never doubted it, but Anca and the team worked so hard on delivering this. That's why she's been on holiday ever since. But yes, no, the team worked incredibly hard to deliver such an important project.
That's a great indicator to get that feedback from your customer base. So the fact that they want to do more with the tool, versus, like you say, the potential escalations and complaints. Just something, I know you're going to say something just before you do. But for our listeners, could you give like sort of 3 tips, 3 kind of key things that you might think about if they're doing something similar around the communication strategy with your customers? What would be 3 things you might call out as a kind of, this is a good idea to do this because it's worked really well for us, particularly in this project? If there's more than 3, perfect. If there isn't, so be it.
The 3 from me would be communicate. I think
fantastic. Thank you, Stuart.
There's a concept of change management called ADCAR, and I won't bore your listeners about that today. But there's a notion that you have to tell people 7 times before they will listen and understand and digest. And I think the concept is you've got to start early, set the scene, get them to accept it, and move the way through that to actually acknowledge it and move all the way through delivery of that change program. And you can never underestimate the cadence of communication you need and the methods and platforms you need. Not just emailing information. You could have workshops, you could be in front of people. You've got to look at what works for your stakeholders and customers in terms of how you share that information to make sure they're on board, they understand, and they know what the outcomes need to be. So I'm not sure if that was 3 tips, but that was generally.
No, that was really good. Thank you.
I would say that we use different channels for different customers, but newsletters, workshops, getting together. And I think I was like a rotten meal at a certain point, because I was mentioning in any meeting I was going with all the clients about service leads coming. This is what we are doing. This is the project that we are going. I think all my colleagues were afraid of inviting me in meetings, because at the end of the meeting, I would have took over the meeting to start discussing, this is the project that is coming, this is what we are doing, this is what's happening. Plus, we started way early on, making aware our customers that we will be doing this. So we discussed with them way ahead of time. This is what we are doing. We are looking at other tools. We are looking to change the tool. This is going to come. And they were aware of this change. So it didn't came out of the blue saying, oh, from tomorrow we have a new tool. Good luck. So it was really nice. And we had lots of the customers asking us lots of the times when the new tool is coming, when is the new tool coming? So they were also eager to get to know the new tool and to start using it and enjoy the benefits of the new tool.
I think that's great. It sounds like you've handled it incredibly well, right? To make sure that the customers get a better experience, right? You don't want them to be thinking, well, it's sort of the same as it was before, do you? So, it sounds like you've done a great job. But Anca, question for you, as the head of end user support. So you have teams of people who are involved in engaging with customers, resolving incidents, managing problems, managing change, etc. What benefits are you experiencing or hoping to experience from the use of the tool? What sort of things can you give us some examples of where Servicely is really delivering those benefits?
The first one was the flexibility of creating new things within Servicely. So that was one of the primary benefits that I was looking at is, okay, I'm going to have all the processes, incident, major, change, problem. I want those to run smoothly. But what do I do when I'm getting a client that they want to run their HR, they want to run their facilities, they want to run their finance team, they want to run all the other bits and pieces of their business through our tool? Can I make that happen in a way that it doesn't disrupt the rest of the business, us, them, and so on? And also it's something that it's a standard that I can apply across the board. So one of the benefits that I was looking at was the flexibility of the tool, making sure that I can get that out of it. Second of all was the AI automation and all that part that I'm going to be also bringing more efficiency, productivity, increase the productivity of the team. And one that I would say that is really, really important is the customers' expectation, how they use the tool and their experience, to improve that experience with us through the portal, through the engagement that they will have with our teams, and making sure that we can have that with them. Because until now, with the previous tools, we were offering the standards and what we said that we were offering, but it was not the best experience possible. So that was to have that enhanced customer experience that I was looking for, and that's what we are having now. And on top of that, now we have all the automation that is within the tool, where you raise a new starter, it goes and it does the account and does all the things through the AI and through the automation at the back end. So you have all the things that before didn't have. And to have them, you had to get way more tools, add on top, add-ons, integrate, and make those works. Now with Servicely, we have everything integrated with Azure, with Microsoft, through single sign-on. So the guys are just connecting with their Microsoft account. There is no need to create other accounts. So as soon as we do the integration with the client, they are set up and their data is in there. We don't have to upload mountains of data into the tool. We are connected directly with their Active Directory, and then also we can obviously create account and do other tasks in there.
Stuart, I've just got one for you. Thank you, Anca. I think that's, I mean, I love what you've described there, right? Because you've talked about customer experience, you've talked about productivity in your teams, right? And productivity for customers as well, but productivity in your teams. And you've talked about being agile and able to, to work not just in terms of IT, but also other business units as well. So it's a brilliant all-round service management use case. But Stuart, question for you. So underpinning of this investment, right, will have been a business case. How do you feel you are set up to deliver against that business case?
So I think the business case for me and us was not just about what you would deem efficiency, i.e. doing more for less, less people, potentially cost savings. For me, efficiency was around, can we have people less focused on the engine and the interactions of technical stuff and focus their time on actually customer care? So to nurture better relationships and to nurture more experience. And I think what we're starting to see is that our analysts and engineers are able to, I suppose it's like when you're learning to drive a car at the start, you're focusing on, oh, I've got to start the engine, do this gear, whatever, to drive the car. But when you're experienced, you're not thinking about driving the car, you're thinking about everything else on the road, etc. So the analogy is we can focus really much now on customers, customer care, proactiveness, problem management, continuous service improvement, all the service management words, which people say they do a lot, but it's hard to deliver. Now I feel we can really change our emphasis as some of the teams that were just dealing with technical resolutions into more proactivity. And I think as a business case, I'm looking at, yes, one, the cost of the platform and ease and maintenance of that. And is it meeting our customers' needs, both now and in the market going forwards? But two, are our analysts happy and comfortable that it's making life easy for them? And then thirdly, is it making life easier for our customers? And are we interacting more with them? And that interaction, and we'll possibly go on to this a bit later, we want to consistently review how we interact with our customers, not just emails, not just phone calls. What can we do now with the new technology? And that's something we wish to explore.
So you've moved that needle somewhat from reactive to proactive, yeah, which is great to hear.
Absolutely. And yeah. I think in the market, we felt inhibited by the previous platform. And I think I said on the previous podcast, I wanted to lead from the front with our front of house systems and our people. And we felt a bit embarrassed, sort of the mechanics car type thing, analogy, So I feel like we can now say front and center, we are all about customer experience. Don't worry about the technology, but this is what we do.
Good stuff, really good stuff. Okay, just it's sort of a wrap up, if you like. But looking back now on the journey, you decided you wanted to have a new tool. You went to market to do the evaluation and everything that encompassed. You obviously made the decision. Now, a month or so into go live, what advice would you give to anybody else out there in the market who's looking to do something similar? Like, what are the do's and don'ts? What should they be looking out for? What sort of things should they look to avoid? Stuart, Anca, however you want to field that question, I'm sure there's a number of things and a number of tips you could give to our listeners, which they'd find invaluable.
So I think, and I refer to this as a lot, having worked with Virgin before previously in my career. There's an old adage of Richard Branson, which was "Screw it, let's do it." And I think I would just say to MSPs or customers who think, oh, it's too difficult to extricate ourselves from our current systems and platforms, the vendor's making it difficult to leave, it's not in their interests, our customers don't want change. I would just say go for it. Just do it. Otherwise you'll just be there forever. So I think you've got to just go for it. I think, advice is speed date vendors, quickly assess who's going to be there for a longer conversation, who's not. And I know Sunil's got lots of experience in this speed dating arena, so I'm sure he could, going back to the engagements we talked about earlier, talk to us about that. And know what you need, know your needs. It sounds obvious, but when you've got to explain this to the vendors, what your needs are. And often you think, it's just rubbish, we've got to replace it. Well, unless you know exactly what your needs are and going forwards and be able to explain them, then it's going to be very difficult to find a match. So I think we spent a lot of time defining that to make sure we knew what our needs were now and then going forward. So I think that's what they should do. I think what should they avoid, and this is no criticism of any particular vendor, is the old vendors peddling the same stuff, trying to constrain you, trying to lock you in. It's in their interest. I get it. We're in the business of that. But I think there's more agility now. I think the smart consumer, the smart customers, not going to lock themselves in for that long. If you're confident in your product and your service, customers will stay. That's all about that. If you're not, you make it obstructive, make it difficult. And I think when we went through this process, some of the old vendors in my career we come across, it was still the same old stuff, slightly changed. So I think just be cautious, avoid the old. Look at some of these startups, look at some of these entrepreneurs. It's I think it's worth taking risks in this area. So that would be sort of my deliberate advice.
Okay, thank you very much.
I think from my side of things, one of the major do's was around engaging with the vendors and see how they treat you, how they engage with you, how eager are, and not just from a sales perspective, because the sales guys, yes, they will engage and they will try to sell it to you and make you sign the contract like tomorrow, if possible. But when you ask them for the demos, for connecting to the environment, having a way to actually feel the tool, is this something that I need for the company that I work for, or for my customers, or even internally, because we know that there are lots of companies out there, enterprise companies, that they need a tool to run their business. And when you do that, you need to go out and look at the vendors out there. And one of the criteria for us was MSP. To fit an MSP need. We have multiple customers with different needs. Yes, the processes are the same across the board, but you'll have different clients with different needs. So to be able to accommodate that, and as an MSP, that is crucial for you to be able to have those differences and to make sure that you can manage. Also from a security perspective, you need to make sure that the tool separates the environments and you don't have any slip of data between clients. And also with the use of AI and with different portals, that is crucial to make sure that only who needs to see the data sees the data. And through our engagement and engagements with different suppliers, Servicely were the ones that really wanted to engage with us, and they responded to all the demands, everything that we have asked them for. Even if the process took quite a few months, it was not a quick engagement with them. Oh, nice to meet you. Oh, here's the demo. Let's go for it. It took almost a year, I think, of engagement, of demos, trying to see, going with multiple other suppliers and so on, until we make the decision. It was not a easy one, but yeah, as Stuart was saying, you have to do it. You cannot just plan. It's going to take a while. And then you'll start realizing, oh, but this one, oh, but that other one. At a certain point, make the decision, go for it, and plan everything that you need to do.
I mean, this is, you know, it's like an analogy of the car advert. You see the advert, and then at the small print at the end, it goes, "This was the high-end luxury model, only available in Europe, not in the UK." And you go, "Oh, I wanted that one." So when you're looking and evaluating, you'll get shown everything, and it's a massive bugbear all my career. You should ask, is this included or not? Is this core to the product or not? Is this an additional module? And people often get caught out because, quite rightly or not, they get sold a picture and then it's not delivered because, oh, that's extra. And I think you've got to look beyond that and just ask those smart questions to say, am I getting this as part of this? Is this customized? Is this a workflow? Is this something that you've repeated? And those are things which I think you should ask.
Really get into that due diligence piece. Yeah.
This has been a fantastic conversation. So I think we've run over a little bit, but there is one final question really, which is sort of looking to the future. So maybe Anca, you first, and then Stuart. A brief summary of what is next for Transputec. Right now, you've got Servicely in. What's next?
Now for me is all the add-ons that I'm gonna add for Servicely. There is so much in there to add and to work with for all our clients. So this year, at least for me, and my focus will be Servicely and improving what we have and adding all the feature sets that the tool offers. Then in terms of the full as Transputec, obviously is to enhance the customer experience, and I'm working with the rest of the colleagues on trying to improve all the services that we are offering, and offering better services to our clients and customers, and at the same time taking care of our employees and our analysts. That's one of the main points for myself.
What about you, Stuart?
I think, I mean, at the same time as doing this major platform change, we've also been changing our RMM platform as well, remote management and monitoring. And that's another detailed conversation because these are all core platforms. So I think that's another podcast in the making. But I think leveraging this, we talked about our customer experience. I think for the next 12, 24 months, our real focus as Transputec is around experience level agreements. We talked about this briefly before, and that's something which we are having a lot of traction talking with our customers about XLAs. And certainly I think agentic AI is our focus. And one of the things we're looking at, for example, in this space, is to be able to offer multi-channels to customer optional. So we're looking at developing at the moment is an AI-based voice channel for customers to engage with us. So I'm very conscious you've got to have a multi-channel approach for customers because not everybody wants to do it a certain way. And I don't want to be an MSP who forces people down a certain path. So I want to be able to offer multi-channel engagement, and potentially down the line, that'll be a different cost level depending on how you engage with us, to give them flexibility and agility. So that's areas which we are really looking to develop, as well as all the use cases around AI in terms of contact centers, etc. So,
yeah, it'd be very interesting to hear how those initiatives go. I think there'll be lots of learning for other MSPs in that space.
Thank you.
Okay, Anca, Stuart, really fantastic for you to join us again. Thank you so much. To all our listeners, I hope you found that interesting. And I'm sure that Anca and Stuart would be more than open to having a conversation with you if you wanted to talk about your managed service requirements, or indeed just to talk to them about the journey. Thanks very much for listening, folks.
Thank you,
for
everyone.
inviting us.
Thank you.
Thank you.